All right, welcome back. The Steelers over at Heinz Field, practicing, working out to start a training camp. Not doing much. They won't ramp things up until the middle of August here. But Juju Smith-Schuster tweeted this out today. It's our Tri-State office furniture tweet of the day. Good to see Seven back out there, looking good. We heard from Ben earlier in this week. He says his arms feels really, really good. Not just good, really, really good. And he used great, too. So doesn't seem like we're too worried. That was my biggest concern, Pony. Ben Roethlisberger's arm coming into this season. That was number one for me.
Well, because you lived through the nightmare last year.
Yeah.
With Mason Rudolph and Devlin Hodges. And without Ben Roethlisberger, we've seen what this football team is. That's how important Ben is. Yeah, it looks good in the video we're watching right now. Juju, I don't have as much confidence in. I think, Richie, we're birds of a feather when it comes to Juju in the NFL food chain. He is not a number one wide receiver. He is a number two. And the problem is the Steelers don't have a number one wide receiver on the roster because of that. It's going to be, I think, incumbent on Deontay Johnson to take a very big step in 2020 because Juju, he can't get open when you put the best corners in the league on him.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson's definitely going to have to be the number one receiver because I think Chase Claypool, he's coming into this, he's restricted, obviously, not going through a full preseason and the training camps and off-season workouts. Talking about birds of a feather, I think we're on the same page with James Conner, too. Devonta Freeman's still out there. Just saying.
Yeah, well, he's got Freeman, there's a money dilemma with him where he's talking about wanting $5 or $6 million a year. That's not happening. Richie, I would have brought in Shady McCoy. If he's good enough for Tom Brady, if he's good enough for Bruce Arians, why isn't he good enough for the Pittsburgh Steelers? He had more rushing yards than James Conner last year. He had the same yards per carry in 2019 as Saquon Barkley. So I don't want to hear that LaShawn McCoy is washed up and done. There's not a lot of good running backs in their 30s, but I think he's competent, and he'd be a good insurance policy for James Conner.
Now he gets to play with that washed-up quarterback, Tom Brady. And speaking of money dilemmas, let's go out to Regis in Mount Pleasant. How you doing, Regis?
Hey, Reg.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call. Did Pirate owner Nutting fire Clint Hurdle to shift the blame from himself for such a lousy team? The change of managers is about as bad as some of the trades he has made.
Okay, Pony, the jury's still out. I don't think that has really anything to do with it. Firing. I think he had to. He would have lost maybe more fans or more support if he didn't fire or make changes like that. This is just a year. I wish they would have started out this year by saying it's a rebuild. And now you're in that little weird space where you're either calling it a retool or some other stupid name that they come up with. Just say it's a rebuild. Because, look, it's clearly on paper that it's a rebuild.
Well, that's the way, I agree. I think they should be upfront and very honest with the fans. I hope behind closed doors that's how they're evaluating this team, thinking that what they have right now is not going to be a competitive baseball team in 2020, 2021, and maybe not 2022. The core of this team in the minor league system as it is right now isn't going to cut it. Richie, they need a lot of reinforcements, and that's how Neil Huntington and Clint Hurdle got fired. There was a talent drain on this organization. So I think they've got a long climb to get back to credibility. It's going to take trades. It's going to take smart, low budget, kind of low risk free agent signings. But most importantly, it's going to take serious draft and developments.
Do you think things will change with baseball after this pandemic? Will we see, I'm not going to say a salary cap because we probably won't see that, but teams are going to not want to spend money. Will we see a salary floor? Will we see anything here in the next couple years that could potentially change things around?
Well, that's a good question. You'd think that this eventually would show up and it would affect player salaries. But then again, Patrick Mahomes in the NFL just got $500 million in a pandemic. So evidently, the NFL power brokers don't think, Richie, that this is a long-term problem, that eventually things are going to go back to normal. And I think baseball, they still got that big TBS contract where they got billions with a B during this pandemic. So I don't know. It's a good question. You'd like to think for the Pirates' sake, if everybody came closer together, if everybody came down to their earth, they'd have a better chance. But I'm not holding my breath.
Let's go to Harold in Jeanette. What's up, Harold?
Hi, Harold.
Yeah, hey, I guess the previous caller kind of stole my thunder. I wanted to ask, do you guys think that the Buccos are finished for the year? I mean, the Pens right on the verge of elimination, and what else do we have left?
We got Steelers season come out. So, I think the Penguins, if they win tomorrow, I think they're going to win. Obviously, if they lose tomorrow, they're done. But I think if they win tomorrow's game, I think they win this series. As for the Pirates, yeah, they're 3-10. They got the worst record in baseball. I'm not too optimistic, especially when guys like Mitch Keller get hurt. Guys that they need that potentially could help them. I mean, they're just not good. They can't hit, and they can't pitch.
I think there's a better chance the Penguins win Game 4 than Game 5, because I've seen one of the alarm bells that keeps going off with this team, Richie, is they play a good game, they get overconfident, they start to, I think, get an inflated sense for how good they are, and then bad habits creep back in for the next game. And that's what happened in Game 3. They're up 3-1. They go la-di-da. We got this in the bag. Before you know it, you blink your eye, you're down 4-3, and you're getting outplayed by the 24th team in the NHL. And so I could see that happening, whether it's Murray or Jari. I could see the Penguins winning a game like 4-1 and thinking, oh, we got Montreal, we're all set. We righted the ship. And then they lose like 2-1 because Carey Price stands on his head. And they take a stupid penalty or they get sloppy. And they lose a game that they should win. I mean, we've seen too much of that from the Penguins in the last couple of years, Richie.
We got to take a break, but I want to get your opinion of Mike Sullivan. And if they do lose this series, what happens to him and his future? We'll do that after the break. But first, we got to take a break. Back in a couple of minutes.